Welcome to Drunk Bible Study. This show's mission is to read every single word of the greatest story ever told. A warning to our listeners, the hosts of this show are sinners, but they're doing their best. There will be drinking and there may be some swears. They did say they'd try to keep it clean, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
I'm Emily, and this is Drunk Bible Study, where my good friends Dedeker and Jace teach me, a born and raised atheist, all about the Bible. How we doing today, gang? This is the penultimate episode.
Yes.
Here we are.
Wow. Okay, well, if people do not remember, there was a big cliffhanger last time.
Yeah.
We literally ended in the middle of a sentence.
It was nuts. It was shocking.
I think we've maybe had one other time in the whole Bible that was sort of a cliffhanger, but it wasn't this much of a, it literally in the middle of a sentence.
Do you remember what time that was?
I don't remember. I remember there being one that was like a page turner, you know?
Okay.
Where it was right in the middle of a battle maybe, or some drama was going on. I can't remember what it was. But this is definitely a special moment.
Absolutely.
A special, rare
It was a very special
DBS Plus moment.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm like really trying to keep it together. I'm so tired this week. I have been working at a conference all week that's here in Seattle, which is cool. Didn't have to travel somewhere, but it also means I learned when the conference is in your town, you actually have to commute into where it is and then commute back from it.
Instead of just hanging out at home all day.
Right. Well, instead of like being in your hotel room and walk across the street.
Oh,
is
sure.
What I mean,
That's
right?
true.
That's
And
fair.
so it's like I'm having to add an extra hour and a half or something to my day on top of already doing really long days when you work conferences. So
Yeah, and that means this week it's just been me and the lady at home.
I know.
It's true.
Has she been keeping you company?
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of been staying out of her way. I've been staying out of her room.
Sure.
You know,
Okay.
I've gotten a little spooked a couple times by myself, but I don't think that was her fault.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
It just was,
Okay.
yeah, it was your fault, Dedeker. I don't know. I agree that, no, you spooked yourself. No.
Shoot yourself. I see. Yeah.
I agree with you that in my last apartment, which was way bigger than this apartment that I'm currently in, it was scary to be in there by myself.
Yeah, is that so weird how like bigger places are spookier because you can't keep your
for
eyes
sure.
on
Yeah.
the whole situation? Yeah.
This is
Right.
one room, basically. And I'm just like,
you can monitor everything.
exactly. If anything happens, like Henry will tell me immediately because he's in there with me.
That's true.
That is nice. Yeah.
He's the guard cat.
Yeah.
He's the guard cat.
Yes.
Yeah, he keeps watch.
Well, I hope the lady would do the same. If there was truly a malevolent spirit out to get
She'd
me,
tell
that
you?
she'd bare bones be okay with letting me know.
Right.
That would be nice. for
I don't know if
sure.
she would directly protect me, much in the same way that a cat's probably not going to protect you, but she would at least let me know.
Okay. Yeah.
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 The lady has cat energy for sure. Definitely one of those cats.
Big cat energy.
Like your partner's cat who like loves your partner the most and maybe kind of tolerates you for sure.
Yeah.
That's big cat energy.
I mean, that's something though.
No, that's that's pretty good. Good description of the ladies' relationship here.
For sure.
Boy.
Oh my goodness.
Jace, are you having a much needed cocktail right now?
Oh boy, howdy. Yeah. So I will talk about my drink here. So we have some gin in the house.
Okay.
That's a Nika, which is a Japanese brand, a Nika
Cool.
coffee gin. It's not like a
Oh.
coffee flavored. It's Coffey. It's just like the name of it. I don't actually know what that means.
Okay.
I wondered if it would taste like coffee. It doesn't.
Okay.
But I was sad because we don't have any vermouth in the house because I wanted to make a martini.
Yeah.
But then I tasted this because we just opened the bottle and it's so delicious. I was like, I'll make like a dry martini with just no vermouth. It's just gin, cooled down
It's
with
I was
ice
like, I'm
in
pretty
this
sure
glass.
that's just gin.
Yeah, this is just gin.
But let me say that gin,
it's really good.
It can hold up on its own. Yes,
It's really
very
good.
complex.
It's got like
Yeah.
tastes like has a very fruity taste for a gin, like kind of a lemony, lemon peel kind of a flavor. I was shocked. I've never had anything quite so.
Did you put a spritz of lemon or
No.
a lemon
No.
twist or anything? No. Just
What I'm
gin.
learning,
Got it.
what I'm learning
Yes.
is that the reason why it's called coffee gin is that there's something called a coffee still,
Okay.
which is a particular type of still that apparently produces a lighter and a smoother spirit versus a pot still, which is the traditional
Interesting.
still.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So no, that's why it doesn't taste like coffee.
Dedeker, how about you? What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm having the same thing as I had last week because I, in a panic, didn't know.
Because it's a cliffhanger. The story
Yes,
is
exactly.
still
I
going.
have to
You wanted
continue.
continuity.
I have to continue.
Yeah.
So I'm having a nice vanilla porter,
Lovely.
classic
That sounds
go-to.
great.
What about you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I conversed as usual with the bartender about what I should drink this week, and I decided fall is here in New York City. Is it there in Seattle?
yeah.
Oh, for
It's starting
sure.
to feel that
For
way,
sure.
yeah.
I'm loving it. It's very crispity out.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very crispy, crunchy out.
Sweater weather for sure.
Yes, quite. So I made some cinnamon apple sweet or simple syrup.
Mhm.
I put like some, just apples
Cinnamon
and
sticks.
and cinnamon sticks in
like
there.
whole apples and cinnamon. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's cool. And then it sucked up that lovely flavor and made a really nice cinnamon apple simple. And then I put a little vermouth, sweet vermouth, not dry vermouth,
Yeah.
and whiskey and orange bitters with that simple syrup, and then created this. And of course, the coolest part is this like apple fan that I did.
Ooh,
With
so
it.
profesh.
Very fancy.
Nice.
Never tried doing fancy fruit garnishes before.
Yeah, for sure. So I like it very much. It's really tasty.
Lovely.
Highly recommend. Yeah.
Amazing.
Alrighty. Well,
Are we ready for this?
Are we
ready
gonna
to
get
get
to it?
into it?
Yes,
So
I think so.
I put together a little thing to help us get back in the mood of where we left off last time. So just to kind of bring us all up to speed, there was this big like riot thing where the multitudes were freaking out,
Yes.
accusing Paul of like defiling the temple or something. There was a whole big deal, and the captain of the guard came and like grabbed him and took him away. And he's like, "Oh, weren't you that guy that had 1,000 assassins with him and camped out in the woods?" And he's like,
1,000
"No."
assassins.
I think it was actually 4,000 assassins. It was
Jeez.
something ridiculous like that.
That's amazing.
And so now I will bring us to previously on Drunk Bible Study.
But Paul said, I am a Jew from Tarsus in Cilicia, a citizen of no insignificant city. I beg you, allow me to speak to the people. When he had given him permission, Paul, standing on the stairs, beckoned with his hand to the people. When there was a great silence, he spoke to them in the Hebrew language, saying,
What? What a cliffhanger.
Nothing was
What a
Holy shit.
What a cliffhanger. I'm sorry. Ew.
God,
We were
I
so
hate
aghast.
So basically, all of us lost our minds at
Yeah.
how much of a cliffhanger this was.
Really did. My goodness.
All right.
All right.
And so with that, let's get into our next two chapters here, which is Acts chapters 22 and 23. As we get started, we want to remind everyone to read responsibly and drink responsibly.
you can drink along with us, or you can listen to us while you're in the car.
But please do not do both at the same time. And with that, it's Acts 22.
21, 22.
22. Acts 22. Brothers and fathers. This is Paul, right? Who's speaking? Yes.
Yeah, he gestured to them and said
And
in
said-
the Hebrew language,
Brothers and fathers, listen to the defense which I now make to you. When they heard that he spoke to them in the Hebrew language, they were even more quiet.
Oh, Paul the polyglot.
Even more quiet. Mhm. He said, I am indeed a Jew, born in Tarsus of Cilicia, or Cilicia. Cilicia.
Psilocybin, I think is.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel.
Gamaliel, perhaps?
Gamaliel?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Instructed according to the strict manner of the law of our fathers, being zealous for God, even as you all are this day. I persecuted this way to the death, binding and delivering into prisons both men and women.
Oh,
yeah, was he?
He's giving
I
us his
forgot about that.
backstory.
Oh.
Was
Yeah.
he like a cop?
Well,
Was he the fuzz?
well, he was kind of the
A copper?
enforcer for
Yeah.
the temple, right? For the religious law.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was going around like rounding up the early Christians and like arresting them if they were
Yeah.
in Jerusalem. And I think he went out hunting for them.
Okay.
I thought we determined he was Christoph Waltz's character from Inglourious Bastards.
I mean, that's like a really big time, scary cop.
I think he was a
Yikers.
pretty scary cop in his day.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
why it was such a big turn when
Change.
he
It was
a
was
good get.
converted.
For the cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. As also the high priest and all the council of the elders testify, from whom also I received letters to the brothers and traveled to Damascus to bring them also who were there. How many times is he going to say also? Who were there to Jerusalem in bonds to be punished.
Wait, sorry.
It happened.
I lost the
I don't
thread
know.
a little bit of what you just
Yeah,
said.
I don't know what that was. As also the high priest and all the council of the elders testify, from whom also I received letters to the brothers and traveled to Damascus to bring them also who were there to Jerusalem in bonds to be punished. That was 5. Can we
Yeah.
can
Some
we
help.
get a
Yeah.
little help there, please?
Okay, so here's Eugene. This is the message starting from verse, I don't know, 3-ish, somewhere in there.
Okay.
He said, I've always been passionately on God's side, just as you are right now. I went after anyone connected with this way, and way is in quotes and capitalized W.
Okay.
I went after anyone connected with this way, went at them with all my might, ready to kill for God. I rounded up men and women right and left and had them thrown in prison. You can ask the chief priest or anyone in the high council to verify this. They all knew me well. Then I went off to our brothers in Damascus, armed with official documents authorizing me to hunt down the followers of Jesus there, arrest them, and bring them back to Jerusalem for sentencing.
Is this the first like Christian testimony?
Damn.
You know about this long tradition, Jace.
No.
Yeah.
Can you do you want me to explain it, or will you explain
Yes.
it?
It's basically like you tell the story of how you were somehow bad and things
Before
were
you
bad
were a Christian.
before you were a Christian,
Oh.
and how coming to Jesus turned that around for you.
Made you into a good person. Or
Yeah,
good- just a
exactly.
good
It helped
person.
you, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, stop drinking. Obviously not on this show, but right, helped you, right?
Huh.
Quit drugs or like get your life back in order or
Sure.
something. And yeah, I think you're right that this is the first example of that. Maybe that's why that became a tradition.
Because
Wow.
it was Paul.
And it was
Yeah.
always weird growing up in the Christian church because they would try to train children to do this too, especially in the very evangelical church, right? Which is very much
Right, we
based
didn't
on
do so much of this. in mine.
proselytizing,
Yeah.
right? So when you're like 10 and you've been basically born into the church and maybe you be officially quote unquote accepted Jesus when you were like 5, it's really hard to come up with a testimony story about
Yeah,
how
'cause you're
Yeah.
5.
exactly how sinful you were as a 4-year-old. And then you
I
found Jesus and
decided-
then it all turned around.
Yeah.
To give my brother time to play with our Legos.
Basically, it's like that
And
level.
I used to not do that, but now
Yeah,
I
exactly.
do because of Jesus.
Yeah, it's basically
I
that
used
level.
to hog all the Legos for myself.
And it was obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
all of us who I think were children of born again Christians, right?
Yeah.
So, like the boomers who became born again Christians, there's a lot easier for them to come up with that, right? Because they have all their tales of getting stoned in college,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
you
Now I
know,
don't get stoned because of Jesus.
and going to Vietnam War protests
Mom.
and stuff like that. And then they, you
Sorry.
know, came around in later life. But it's definitely a lot harder for the chitlins.
That is funny though. That reminds me of I played in a lot of church bands and stuff when I was like in high
Mhm.
school. And I remember there was this one church that I went to only because they had a cool music program. And so I would do the like Sunday evening service and play contemporary music in the
Yeah.
band. And the guy who was the drummer was a little older, maybe in his 30s or something, while the rest of us were mostly high schoolers.
Whoa.
And he would talk about his life BC, before Christ.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
And
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Dedeker's having some PTSD.
Yeah, I'm feeling it in my chest.
But it was that thing where like the stories he would tell like sounded cool, right? He's like, oh, I had like skulls all over my drums and like played shows in clubs and there's like drinking. I'm like,
that's
dude,
rad.
this guy sounds awesome. Like,
You're like,
I
yeah,
want to do
that's
that.
what I want to do. Yeah. That's hysterical. Yeah, I hung out with someone this week that was talking about the fact that she used to be Nazarene.
Yep.
Like you,
Like
Dedeker.
me. Like me.
And so, yeah, we talked about the fact that the two of you shared that kind of trauma.
Our Nazarene
together.
heritage.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is funny that you mentioned about it being cool thing, because I do remember, and this is probably maybe when I was a tween or starting to become a teen, starting to put together like, wait, all these people got to have actually cool teenage years. Like they actually got
Right,
to have
before
premarital
they-
sex and drinking and
Yeah.
going out
Yeah,
with their
yeah.
friends. They got to do all these things, but I don't get to do all
Yeah.
these things.
It's very
What a
different.
ripoff.
Yeah.
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 Well, you get to do them now.
I do a lot of them. I do go out on my own past curfew
Whoa.
all the time.
Okay.
Date whoever I want.
There you go.
Verse 6 is where.
Yeah, we're on verse
Yeah.
6. Okay. It happened that as I made my journey and came close to Damascus about noon, suddenly there shone from the sky a great light around me. I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to me, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? What? And why is he
Yeah.
calling him Saul?
Because he used to be called Saul, remember?
I know, but that's random. I thought that
Well,
his name was Paul now.
When he was
It
the
is,
Christian
but-
hunter. He's telling the story of when he was.
Yeah, his
Oh,
conversion.
Yeah,
Sorry, we're still on that. I thought that like
It's
this was
BC.
after
It's his
he
life
talked.
BC.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
We're back on the story now. I answered, Who are you, Lord? He said to me, I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you persecute. Those who were with me indeed saw the light and were afraid, but they didn't understand the voice of him who spoke to me. I said, What shall I do, Lord? The Lord said to me, Arise and go into Damascus. There you will be told about all things which are appointed for you to do. When I couldn't see for the glory of the light, being led by the hand of those who were with me, I came into Damascus. One, Ananias, a devout man according to the law, well reported of by all the Jews who lived in Damascus, came to me and standing by me said to me, Brother Saul, receive your sight. In that very hour, I looked up at him. He said, The God of our fathers has appointed you to know his will and to see the righteous one and to hear a voice from his mouth. For you will be witness for him to all men of what you have seen and heard. Now, why do you wait? Arise, be baptized, and wash away your sins, calling on the name of the Lord. This is kind of nice that we're getting this recap because we're about to take a quiz.
Oh, you're right.
That is true. It's good.
Very smart.
Really, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I forgot it. Why did Ananias have this knowledge that Jesus was doing these things for Saul/Paul?
I think the Holy Ghost told him.
Oh, okay.
Right. Like he also had, whatever kind of vision was necessary. We didn't get
Yeah,
the
the
backstory
sight.
of why he knew, but that's kind of how these
It's
things
irrelevant.
work, right?
Yeah, it's just that guy right there. That
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. It happened that when I had returned to Jerusalem, and while I prayed in the temple, I fell into a trance and saw him saying to me, Hurry and get out of Jerusalem quickly, because they will not receive testimony concerning me from you. I said, Lord, they themselves know that I imprisoned and beat in every synagogue those who believe in you. Awkward.
Yeah. Yes.
When the blood of Stephen, your witness, was shed, I also was standing by.
Stephen Colbert.
Right. Remember
Oh.
Stephen Colbert? He was stoned to death.
Yeah.
While Saul held the coats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was also standing by and consenting to his death and guarding the cloaks of those who killed
Yeah,
him.
there it is. There it is. He was the coat check.
Yeah. God, that's awful. He said to me, Depart, for I will send you out far from here to the Gentiles. That's so interesting because, the coat check guy doesn't get punished, but other people for doing way less get punished.
Well, yeah, he's just the coat check guy.
Well, sure. The rules of who gets punished in the book
And
not
he's not just the
consistent.
co-check guy. Like, he's also the guy who put a lot of these people to death. Like, he put them in jail, and then therefore they were going to become people who would be killed.
Well, Emily, perhaps now you've noticed this interesting recurring theme that Christians do love to latch onto of the very sinful man that God then uses for great righteous purpose. And now you understand the entire 2016 election cycle. You're welcome.
Got it. Thanks. Also, if you're a woman, like, sucks to be you because you will die.
Sure,
I mean,
that's maybe part of it.
That's one way to look at it. Yeah.
Or you just won't be named in the book at all.
Yeah.
It's definitely like
I mean, a couple of
the
you will.
righteous man.
Mhm.
A couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple.
Yeah, Dedeker and I were just talking about, in the spirit of last week, where we had a lot of deep conversations.
Yeah.
Dedeker and I were just
Always.
talking the other day about this book as a whole, right? The whole Bible situation.
The whole
And-
Bible situation.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, the one.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I was sharing is how this reading through it all has actually helped me to not think so poorly of the book. Because I think that a lot of the stuff we see when we look at this book and we think that's bad is like because people have tried to put shit onto the book after the fact.
Yeah.
Like, this Bible never really says it's a guide for being just or fair necessarily,
Sure,
right?
sure.
It's
No.
kind of this history story. It's this history of our people, right? Our people being the Jews who wrote the book.
Yeah.
It's kind of this like tale of our history and our culture. And it doesn't come out saying, this is the right way to do things and everyone in here is good and this is what you should do. That's like the weird stuff that modern day
we put
Christians
on
have
it.
put on it
Yeah.
of this, this is a guide for how to live your life or whatever. And it's like, it's not that. And I actually feel like it's made me appreciate the book more and realizing it's our fault, our modern day faults.
It's true.
Yes.
Brady in the chat is making a good point, though, until we get to Paul's actual letters, where then the tone does shift, I think, considerably into, no, this is what you should do.
Sure. But again, from the perspective of the Bible, those are the letters of Paul, right? We've got all these different authors. We've got all this stuff that got assembled, right? But sure, I agree. Paul is being a little more prescriptive.
Well, but there's also, of course, there's all the Levitical law that is very clear of like, this is what you should and shouldn't do. But then modern day Christians are kind of like, well, that part doesn't only kind of counts, only like 2 bits of it that we want to count.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Something that I've talked to with my partner, who I have a lot of Bible conversations about, is it important to be critical of religion or not? Because religion, regardless of what it is that we say about it, like, it will endure. And so does it even matter that we are critical of it?
Well, but what
the
means
grand
about being
scheme of
critical? That's a weird question
to say. Yeah. So I feel like we're both like, meh.
I think it is critical. I mean, it is important to be critical of religion in general. I think it's good to be critical of a lot of things.
Well,
Yeah,
I would say
I
it's not
agree.
just
I
religion,
agree.
but anything, yeah.
Of anything, yeah.
I think even if you still choose to have a particular belief,
Sure.
after you've critiqued it, I think it's still important to be critical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, because for me in college is when I started getting into more of like biblical critique and like realizing that
Sure.
there are different interpretations and ways you could look at it. That the story that really stuck with me was the one from Genesis of Jacob wrestling with God
Yeah.
or wrestling with the angel or you know, like whatever it
Might have
was.
been God or something.
Right. But this kind of thing of Jacob is Jacob, you know, he's Jacob. Upheld as the whole father of all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And he didn't just go along with everything. It was like, no, I'm going to fight back. I'm going to argue with you. I'm going to push back on this and we'll figure it out, rather than just kind of just accepting like, oh, okay, sure, I'll just do whatever. I'll be obedient all the time. So
Sure.
so you could even use that case to say it's right there in the Bible.
I like that. Okay. I will next time that conversation comes up.
I feel like we're
All
having
right.
conversations with this person like via you by proxy. It's like a little telephone
No,
game.
And then also
Each week.
sometimes he'll like come back and listen to the episode
Sure.
so that he can like get caught up on what the answers were.
It's a good way to communicate
Yeah,
with somebody.
very effective. Very.
One day we'll just have these conversations in reality, not just via the show. But here we are so far. Okay, 22. They listened to him until he said that. Then they lifted up their voice and said, "Rid the earth of this fellow, for he isn't fit to live."
Wait, okay, sorry. We got so distracted in our conversation. What was the thing he said
what
that was the
happened?
last straw for them?
He said to me, "Depart, for I will send you out far from here to the Gentiles."
Oh, okay. So it was about
Jesus.
claiming that Jesus told him to also bring in Gentiles. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Nah.
That's a bridge
No.
too far.
Sure.
That is a foreskin too much."
A foreskin too
Yeah.
far. That's
Yeah.
A foreskin too far?" I feel like it's like a lack of a foreskin too far.
well, the Greeks.
No,
had-
but a Gentile would have a foreskin.
Gentiles got him.
Exactly.
So that's like one too many foreskins
Okay,
for the
you're
religion.
right. So it is
Yeah,
too many
yeah.
foreskins.
One foreskin is one too many.
I was thinking about like a foreskin being
I
taken
see
off
from
and then
their
put in the
perspective.
pile.
Sure.
Put in the pile.
Put in the
of
pile.
The
You're
giant pile of foreskins. Do they keep all of them in one huge pile? No.
They
Okay.
must. I mean,
Yikes.
if you're going to buy a bride, you do need to pile them up. That is true.
Wait. What?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Is David was trying to impress
200?
Yes. To get
Yeah.
the princess.
The princess is in another castle, and until you get 200
Just what I
foreskins,
wanted.
you can't get her.
This is the best wedding gift of my life.
Yeah,
200 foreskins.
You got it.
Good God. Okay. As they cried out and threw off their cloaks and threw dust into the air, the commanding officer commanded him to be brought into the barracks, ordering him to be examined by scourging.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, hold on. So sorry. I just need to catch up. I've been so distracted by our conversations.
About
So-
foreskins? Yeah.
So, okay, he's telling his story about Jesus. Are we still in the story now, or now
We're
modern
back in
day
we're
again?
back in the story. We're back
We're
in
the
modern
story.
day.
We're still.
Okay.
Oh, we are?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Right?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Well, so
I
that's
don't
what I'm
know.
Yeah.
trying
It
to
says they
figure
listened to
out
him until he
here.
said that. You see, we got closed quotations.
Okay.
We got double closed
Oh, okay.
quotations. They're
I
upset.
thought they. Okay.
Okay.
They're
And then,
getting naked,
what happened?
throwing dust in there like you do when you're an angry mob.
so these are the modern day people doing
Yes.
that.
Got it.
Okay.
And the commanding officer is like, "That's it, buddy. We're going to beat you until
done
we
with you."
understand what's actually going on."
Okay.
That is a very effective way of communication as well.
Yes.
There's triangulated communications, and
Uh-huh.
then there's beating until you understand what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, we don't recommend that. Okay. So that he might know for what crime they shouted against him like that.
Hmm.
Who wrote this? When they had tied him up with thongs.
Yeah,
that
good.
the thong.
Uh-huh.
Paul asked the centurion who stood by, "Is it lawful for you to scourge a man who is Roman and not found guilty?"
Oh.
It's a good one.
When the
It's a good
centurion
one.
heard it, he went to the commanding officer and told him, "Watch what you were about to do, for this man is Roman." The commanding officer came and asked him, "Tell me, are you Roman?" He said, "Yes." The commanding officer answered, "I bought my citizenship for a great price." Paul said, "But I was born a Roman."
Is that true?
Immediately-
Hold on. Is this
Yeah.
true? Is he
I don't know.
BSing them?
Maybe he's lying.
Yeah.
Is he going to like pull his passport out right
Yeah.
now? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, how do you prove citizenship back in
Also, this
day?
commanding
Great
officer
question.
dropping that he bought his citizenship for a great price. Like, what does that mean? I guess maybe he was
Fascinating.
Greek. Did he have to buy Roman citizenship? Just seems like something John Dolph would know a lot about.
Sure.
Do you know?
Sure.
Will you tell us,
Yeah.
please?
Well, while Jace is looking that
Okay, we'll
up.
wait. Yeah, I'm going to look
Yeah.
up, see what I can find here.
Mhm. Oh, John Dolph claims that Tarsus was one of the cities whose citizens were granted Roman. I'm going to guess that you meant to say citizenship instead of were granted
Citizenship.
Roman citizens. Everyone gets your own pet Roman citizen.
Your pet citizen. Good. Okay, so because he was from Tarsus, I guess,
that
he
he's
was
technically born
to
Roman.
citizenship.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He's using the system to his advantage.
Right, and that
Okay.
probably puts him in like a higher social class than someone who had to buy
Yeah,
their
potentially.
citizenship.
Most likely.
Yeah, maybe.
That seems
that's
like
good.
based on this captain of the guard's reaction that's what that means.
Mhm.
Interesting. Okay.
At least that's how I'm reading it. Yeah.
Immediately, those who were about to examine him departed from him. And the commanding officer also was afraid when he realized that he was a Roman because he
Yeah.
had bound him.
hmm
But on the next day, desiring to know the truth about why he was accused by the Jews, he freed him from the bonds and commanded the chief priests and the council to come together and brought Paul down and set him before them. That's it for this chapter.
It's almost kind of like Paul is trying to play up how he fits in with whatever group is sort of the one he's trying to deal with at the time.
It's true. It's a slippery but yet smart tactic.
Interesting.
It is smart, yeah, where he's speaking in Hebrew to this crowd. So they're like, oh.
It's spoken Greek to the
okay.
commanding
But then he's-
officer.
Right.
Yeah, but then
Yes.
he's telling everyone else, like, I am from here.
Mhm.
I'm
Right.
Roman.
And like instead of as soon as they're grabbing him, being like, but I'm a Greek citizen, you can't arrest me without a warrant or whatever. That's not
Yeah.
how that works. But he waited until he was away
Yeah.
from that crowd
Yeah.
before he's like, hey,
Yeah.
actually, guys, just keep this on
It's
the
like-
DL. But
I don't know. He's a flip-flopper. Like,
mm,
we're in this big election cycle right now, and I feel like he's being a flip-flopper. You know?
Like perhaps
I don't know. I
he's
guess I
choosing to
can
change
kind of-
his race willy-nilly like people do.
oh my goodness. I mean, I do think in this dire circumstance, I appreciate the sort of wiliness that he's,
This is okay, but this is a little bit less about not flip-flopping in like political stance, but he's being selective in which nationality he is, which in-group markers he is signaling to his advantage.
And you know what? I sympathize with that.
You respect it?
because I respect it because I do it myself in some ways, right? Where if I'm talking to someone from Southern California, I play up the fact that I lived in LA for 10 years and, like really,
yeah, the 405, the 110,
Right.
the 101,
Yeah.
the 5.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? We just talk for like 30 minutes about
You
directions.
just say
yeah.
a bunch of different
Just put
highways.
the, you
That's all
just
that
put
he
the in
says.
front of every single highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so I was on the 10 and then I went down the Sepulveda and then I went up to,
Yeah.
the Culver City and
I'm dead.
that's-
Oh my God.
right? Or if I'm here in Seattle, I play up like, oh, okay, I'm fourth generation Seattleite, even though I wasn't born here, but mostly grew up here. Or if I'm talking to someone from the Midwest, it's like, I was born in Wisconsin. It's like finding things to relate to people on.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
you
I
play a
think-
part.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah, I think it's not the worst.
You're a
you're
chameleon.
a Cheshire cat.
A Cheshire chameleon cat.
Yeah. I like
Okay,
it.
shall we?
Yes,
shall
we shall.
take a break
Yeah, we
here?
shall. We definitely
Okay,
should.
great. We're going to take a quick break to refill our drinks and, collect our passports to prove where we are citizens of. And also,
I got a new one this year.
to tell all our friends, I have told some people this week about this show, and I expect you to do the same. This is a requirement, actually, as attendees of this
Got it.
lecture.
As citizens of Drunk Bible Study, as citizens of the Archipelago Sandwich Pub.
Look at
Yes, you are legally obligated to tell some people about the show.
Come up with your testimony about how boring and uneventful your life was before discovering Drunk Bible Study
love
and about
that.
how amazing and fun and fulfilling your life is now that you
I mean,
listen
my
to
life's
DBS.
better because of it.
yeah.
I'd say minus two.
Minus
you
two.
know?
Hell yeah.
Wow. See? Great. Love it. We're setting a good example here. So yes, go tell your friends.
Perfect.
Bring them along to catch up on the show if they want, or they could drop into more recent ones. We, of course, have very exciting things coming up, like our quiz that we will be doing with a professor from Bright Divinity School in just 2 more weeks after this, which we are all nervous about. So if you're in the live shows,
Yes, very.
if you're in the live shows, you'll be able to be here with us for that. You can get information about that at drunkbiblestudy.com/live, or you can follow us on twitch.tv/drunkbiblestudy. Or you can, of course, listen to it later on when it gets released a week or so after that. But we would love to have you here. So please come join us. And if you want to go the extra mile in supporting this uplifting and maybe educational and not always wrong podcast, you can
You're
become
not
one of
always
our
wrong.
you can become one of our parishioners at patreon.com/drunkbiblestudy.
Okay, folks, we're back.
Here we are.
It's time.
Oh boy.
We're going to continue on with Acts chapter 23. Paul, looking steadfastly at the council, said, "Brothers, I have lived before God in all good conscience until this day." The high priest,
And now, no more. I'm
And
done with
now
that.
Hold on a
I'm
second.
done.
the high priest, Ananias, commanded those who stood by him to strike him on the mouth.
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
wow.
So like,
Okay.
beat him up.
To like slap him? Slap him on the mouth?
Strike, I guess, or punch him right in the kisser.
Yeah, Eugene adds the little detail that when he said, I've lived in good conscience before God all my life, that set chief priest Ananias off. Like,
Clearly.
that really pissed him off
Clearly.
for some reason.
Why? I thought Ananias was on his side. This is weird.
Was
What's happening?
Paul... No, that was Stephen Colbert that like gave the whole speech to them.
Yes.
Telling the whole history, and then right at the end was like, and you all suck and don't follow
and then he
God.
got stoned.
Yeah. So I'm assuming this is the same person? This is the same council as that?
Perhaps.
Maybe?
Then Paul said to him, God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. Burn.
What?
Wait, what? Why is a whitewashed wall a bad thing?
What insult does Eugene whip out?
Yeah, please.
Oh, that's such a good
give it to us,
question.
baby.
Let's see. God will slap you down. What a fake you are.
That's
it.
Okay. All right. He's
I
a
don't know,
phony.
like the whitewashed wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you sit to judge me according to the law and command me to be struck contrary to the law? Those who stood by said, do you malign God's high priest? Paul said, I didn't know, brothers, that he was a high priest, for it is written, you shall not speak evil of a ruler of your people. But when Paul perceived that the one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, men and brothers, I am a Pharisee, a son of Pharisees. Concerning hope and resurrection of the dead, I am being judged. When he said this, an argument arose between the Pharisees and Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, nor angel, nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess all of these. Okay, so he's trying to get them all confused. So now, deception and confusion.
In light of this, it does seem like maybe all the things he said up to this point could have been lies.
It was just like whatever, just to set him off, just to get out of the hot seat.
Well, I think this thing about him being a Sadducee is, I mean, I guess he's saying like because he does believe in a resurrection, that he's saying he's in that camp.
So maybe he's trying to give his in-group markers to the Pharisees.
Right.
Perhaps.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this is more clearly manipulative.
Yes.
Like he's just seeing an opportunity.
He's like, I'm a man of the people, but it's every people.
Yeah. It's very Joshua, right? Of like devious tricks, but you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Very cunning.
Like, that's the justification. Yeah. Very cunning.
Interesting. Yeah.
A great clamor arose, and some of the scribes of the Pharisees' part stood up and contended, saying, we find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or angel has spoken to him, let's not fight against God. When a great argument arose, the commanding officer, fearing that Paul would be torn in pieces by them, commanded the soldiers to go down and take him by force from among them and bring him into the barracks.
Oh man. Okay. The Tyndale Bible has a delightful translation against this.
Okay.
And when there arose a great debate, the captain, fearing lest Paul should have been plucked asunder of them, and commanded the soldiers to go down and to take him from among them and to bring him into the castle.
To the castle?
Just like plucked asunder is just such a good turn of phrase. Yeah.
Plucked asunders.
The following night, the Lord stood by him and said, cheer up, Paul, for as you have testified about me at Jerusalem.
Cheer up, Paul. You're going to be all right.
For as you...
God is Cockney.
For as you have testified about me at Jerusalem, so you must testify also at Rome. When it was day, some of the
Paul's
Jews...
Roman holiday.
When it was day, some of the Jews banded together and bound themselves under a curse, saying that they would neither eat nor drink until they had killed Paul. So they're doing like a hunger strike.
Dude. Jeez.
But like a murder hunger strike.
A murder hunger
different,
strike. Yeah.
Different sort of hunger strike.
Yeah.
Crazy. We're not going to eat again until you kill this guy? What?
Yeah.
Yikes.
There were more than 40 people who had made this conspiracy.
Lord.
They came to the chief priests and the elders and said, we have bound ourselves under a great curse to taste nothing until we have killed Paul. Now, therefore, you with the council inform the commanding officer that he should bring him down to you tomorrow as though you were going to judge his case more exactly. We are ready to kill him before he comes near. But Paul's sister's son, so his nephew,
His nephew.
Okay.
heard of their lying in wait, and he came and entered into the barracks and told Paul. I'm going to hand it off to Jace now.
Oh, boy. Okay. And Paul, calling one of ye under captains. Wait, that's the
you're
wrong
reading
translation. Okay.
That's not right.
That was a Tyndale. It's hard to tell them apart sometimes, you know?
I think the ye
Might give you a clue.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So Paul summoned one of the centurions and said, bring this... Sorry. Okay. Now I'm just in weird accent mood.
Yeah, for sure.
Bring this young man to the commanding officer, for he has something to tell him. Okay, so his nephew came to him and he's like, guards, bring him to the captain.
Yeah.
So he took him and brought him to the commanding officer and said, Paul, the prisoner, summoned me and asked me to bring this young man to you who has something to tell you. The commanding officer took him by the hand and going aside,
sweet.
asked him privately, what is it you have to tell me?
Oh.
I like it as it's very tender.
Okay, I'm going to try to imagine this young man, though, as a grown adult, because it's weird if it's a little
I'm thinking
child.
young. No, not that kind of young.
Oh, no.
I'm thinking young 20-year-old.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
That's better.
He said, the Jews have agreed to ask you to bring Paul down to the council tomorrow, as though intending to inquire somewhat more accurately concerning him. Therefore, don't yield to them, for more than 40 men lie in wait for him, who have bound themselves under a curse, neither to eat nor drink, until they have killed him.
Okay, but if you just wait long enough, these guys are not going to have enough energy for killing.
No, not
after
at all.
not a lot of time, of just not eating or drinking anything.
Wait. Are the people who are not eating or drinking the ones who also have to kill them?
That's what he just said, is that the 40 men lie in wait for him who have bound themselves under a curse.
And that's what they said earlier. They're like, we're not going to eat or drink until we kill him.
I thought that it was until somebody else kills him, but
No.
I thought so too, because this seems like not a great plan, but
no.
I think it's that by promising that to each other, they kind of up the stakes of like, you got to move now. You can't just say, yeah, someday I'll get around to killing Paul. It's like, no, you're going to get hungry, so you got to do it.
So we got to do it in the next 3 hours or something.
Okay, got it.
Dinner's coming up.
That's how it would be for me.
Sure. Now they are ready, looking for the promise from you. So the commanding officer let the young man go, charging him, tell no one that you have revealed these things to me. He called to himself 2 of the centurions and said, prepare 200 soldiers to go as far as Caesarea with 70 horsemen and 200 men armed with spears at the 3rd hour of the night, which is about 9 p.m., it says.
All for Paul?
He asked them to provide animals that they might set Paul on one and bring him safely to Felix, the governor.
Any kind of animal, really.
Felix.
Non-specific. We'll just put him on it and let him go.
Yeah, whatever animal you got.
Could be
Pig,
a
fine.
capybara.
Yeah.
Cute.
He
That would
wrote...
be pretty cute.
Okay, so he set up this whole plan where he's assembling an army. I don't know why. And then bring some kind of animal to put Paul on. And then he wrote a letter like this. Claudius Lysias, to the most excellent Governor Felix, greetings. This man was seized by the Jews and was about to be killed by them. And when I came with the soldiers and rescued him, having learned that he was a Roman.
Okay, I think that's a little bit of dressing up exactly what happened there, painting yourself as the rescuer.
Definitely.
Hey, but Paul has set a precedent that's what we're doing right now. Everyone's just kind of...
we're referring to everyone.
We're fibbing a bit to play up our roles and things.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Desiring to know the cause why they accused him, I brought him down to their council. I found him to be accused about questions of their law, but to have nothing laid to his charge worthy of death or of bonds. When I was told that the Jews lay in wait for the man, I sent him to you immediately, charging his accusers also to bring their accusations against him before you. Farewell, much love.
Claudius Lysias.
XO, Claudius Lysias. Yes.
Yeah, got it.
So the soldiers, carrying out their orders, took Paul and brought him by night to Antipasti. Antipatris. But on the next day, they left the horsemen to go with him and returned to the barracks. When they came to Caesarea and delivered the letter to the governor, they also presented Paul to him. When the governor had read it, he asked what province he was from. When he understood that he was from Cilicia, he said, I will hear you fully when your accusers also arrive.
Oh.
He commanded that he be kept in Herod's place.
Palace, not place.
Palace.
Just go check up with Herod.
Place, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Like
He
just
commanded-
Herod's the store in London. Does that even
Yes.
exist
Oh.
anymore? Is it gone now?
I was going to say the
Oh,
casino,
right.
but that's Herod's.
Right.
Yeah.
He demanded that he get a room in Harrah's and be given $200 in chips
To keep him
play at the
occupied
tables.
until
Yeah.
everyone else shows up.
There you go.
And that's the end.
Oh,
Another cliffhanger-ish
good
ending.
Lord.
Wow.
Wow, what a procedural drama.
You're right.
I gotta give it to Acts. Like, it's pretty action-packed at the end of here.
We're not bored.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of repetition.
No.
It's true.
Yeah.
We've
No.
not been
It's fun.
bored.
Mm-hmm.
I love
But
that.
okay, so I just want to kind of set my expectations for what the next few books are going to be, which
Mhm.
it sounds like they're going to be a lot of letters about how people should
Yeah.
act
Mhm.
in Christianity in general. And does that mean that this essentially is like Paul's backstory
Sure, yeah.
and his lead up to what we're about to get here in terms of all of these different like letters and stuff?
I mean, it will be interesting to, at least for me,
Mhm.
to read Paul's letters with a little bit more
Sure.
backstory on Paul, like more so than what I was given in my upbringing.
For sure.
Which was nothing.
Well, no, like you got Paul's conversion story, but that was kind of considered the most important part of the story.
Yeah.
All this stuff, I didn't really get the details. His like breakup with Silas or whatever, and him being carried off by these
Right.
angry mobs and keeping everyone awake, monologuing, not going into Asia, all that stuff.
Right.
It's just so funny because, like, again, in talking to the bartender, he's like, oh yeah, you've read way more of the Bible than I ever have.
Obviously.
Or will.
Obviously. No one has read
And
the Bible, Emily.
No one's read the whole thing.
especially like Catholics, which is what he is.
Mhm.
Sure.
Because they have like a very specific set of things that they do every
Yeah,
year.
the
And it just kind
lectionary.
of repeats.
Yeah.
The what?
The lectionary.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's just fascinating.
But that's funny because I think because of the lectionary, a lot of Catholics think they've read the entire Bible.
Yeah.
And they think that the lectionary takes them through the entire
He
Bible.
realizes that he hasn't.
That's good. I'm proud
Yeah.
of him.
It's a step.
No, he knows that
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case. But it is interesting to me that like you can be such a believer that the belief happens regardless of the amount that you have read of this. And maybe it happens because you haven't read all of it.
Yeah, I think that's
What
fair.
a question.
I think that's fair.
Well, so yeah, that'll be the interesting part, I think, about reading Paul's letters is that those are ones that are very much only snippets are ever read.
Oh, interesting.
Like,
not the whole
Because he's
damn
giving
thing.
a lot of instructions. And so if you ever want to look to the Bible for a verse that's going to say something like,
Something judgy.
don't do
Do this
this,
thing.
God hates
Yeah.
it, you should do this thing, God loves that. Paul's going to do that for us, right?
Okay.
And so he's a place to go for those kind of quotes. Whereas
Yeah.
like the Old Testament didn't do a lot of that like instruction manual style, except in the presentation of like the Jewish laws
Yeah.
in, Genesis and Leviticus and Exodus when different, what are they called? Statutes, laws,
Mhm, mhm.
covenants,
Mhm.
covenants. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
And since Christians don't really follow a lot of those, you get a lot of it
Yeah.
from Paul's letters. But I think
Yes.
it'll be interesting to read them in their full context and knowing a little bit more about the earlier church and having read all the Gospels.
Yeah.
Would be interesting.
Mhm.
I was just looking
There's
up
a
here
lot to
that
unpack here.
the Catholic lexicon reads, if you do the whole 3-year cycle and you don't miss any Sundays, you read
3-year.
54. Yeah, it's a 3-year cycle. You've read 54.9% of the non-gospel New Testament. So you read almost 90% of the Gospels. So you actually hit a significant amount, which makes sense
Okay.
since that's the whole
Okay.
center point of the thing.
Sure.
But of the non-Gospels, so everything from Acts on, only 55% basically.
what about the rest of the Bible?
13.5% of
What?
the Old Testament.
That's
What?
not-
13% of
But
the Old
it's a
Testament?
big freaking
What?
book.
I know. Well, that's why
Big
you only
freaking
read
part of the book.
13.5
Oh my
because it's
God.
really big.
That's fascinating.
Not counting the Psalms. I guess you end up with more of the Psalms, maybe through music and stuff like that. You
Can
hit
you
more of
send
the
that
Psalms.
This to me because that's fascinating.
Emily, have you ever been to a Catholic service?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My friend James was Catholic, definitely not anymore. But growing up, I definitely went to a Catholic service and
It's always so
He was very-
disorienting.
professional about it. And like he went up and like took the
Communion.
communion and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Can I do that?" And he's like, "No."
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. So I
Now,
didn't.
points to the Catholics. The services are always efficient.
They're
you know,
brief.
they're
Yeah.
brief.
Yes. They do have
Yeah.
some good efficiency.
But if you're not
yeah.
in the in-group, it's a lot of stand up, sit down, say the script,
Well-
do the hand motions. That can be
Right,
hard to
right.
follow along with.
So the Catholic Church, the Marble Mary Church right here that likes to sing a lot of songs, they have, I feel like, mass every day. It's
Yes,
happening
there is a daily
all
mass,
the
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some Catholic churches will do that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's fascinating.
Mhm.
And then again, like we've walked by people just clutching the Marble Marys, and I say to Alex,
Actually,
I'm like,
actually clutching.
well, like they'll hold the hand and like do a little prayer, like
Okay.
while they're holding their hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I live in Washington Heights, so it's a big Dominican,
Mhm.
culture
Area,
here and people and
Right.
area. And I guess in Latin America, and like that's a part of my heritage as well. It's a lot of people that are very, as Alex put it, superstitious. And so it's a lot
sure.
of like, yeah, we gotta pray for everyone. We have to hold the Marble Mary. We have to make sure that we absolutely pray for anyone at any time, especially if they're on a trip or
Mm.
flying somewhere or doing something big. All of those things
Yeah.
have to happen.
It would be interesting at some point on this show, maybe once we finish this book, to learn a little bit more about the like extended lore that comes with Catholicism.
Sure.
Because we're
yeah,
not
they
going
got
to get
some
any
extra.
of it in
They
this
got
book,
the
really,
apocryphal
right?
books.
Oh.
Yeah.
But like all the stuff about purgatory and how you can get out of it if enough people pray for you after you've died. And
Or
there's
maybe
like,
we go on to Drunk
Wow.
Dante's study.
ooh, that'd
Drunk
be fun.
Dante's
to
I've
read
I've
Dante's
never read
Inferno.
any of Dante all
that
the way
would be
through.
maybe fun. Yeah.
Maybe it'd be too good.
I started reading some of it on my own years ago, and I did have a hard time getting through it. It didn't quite hook me, but I do remember it being,
I mean, is this
upsetting.
hooking you
I mean-
every time?
well,
No.
that's fair.
So we could
you know?
just do it.
could
I
do
mean,
it, yeah.
for the sake of doing it.
To circle back a little
my
bit, to be
goodness.
fair, Emily, I also grew up in a church culture where, yes, every time somebody traveled
Yeah.
or got sick or was going to do a big undertaking, you prayed about it, right? You prayed over every
No. Yeah.
meal.
Oh, yeah. For
So
sure.
he's half Salvadorian and like talks about the fact that they're on a group thread with like his whole Salvadorian family, and anytime anyone goes anywhere in the continental US or like outside of the country, it's like, oh, okay, like we're praying for your safety, and oh,
Mhm.
you got there without the hurricane
I mean,
getting
that's
you.
my family's group thread also, Emily. Like,
Really? Okay,
yes.
so it's not just
It's
like
not just a
Latin
Catholic
people,
thing. It's not just a Latin
everyone are
thing.
Catholic.
It's-
yeah, okay.
It's a Christian thing. It's
Yeah,
at least a
no,
certain
it's very
flavor of
common.
Christian thing.
Yeah, like
Yes.
make absolutely sure that you get to this destination and the reason why you
No,
did.
there's a lot of pray for me, I'm having a hard day today, or pray for me, I'm hoping that
Exactly.
this thing happens. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
mean, God,
yes, absolutely.
geez, God must be exhausted.
He's fielding a lot.
There's so many people asking things for him.
I do
you know,
believe
from
that this
him.
was turned into physical comedy in Bruce Almighty.
Got it. Yeah. There you go.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. With all the letters or
Letters,
emails, was it?
emails,
Yeah.
sticky notes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Right,
hilarious.
right.
Yeah.
Good times. Anyway, these statistics I brought you are from Catholic.com. So
Thank you.
this is not even from a critical site. This is just Catholic.com being like, yeah, you're not reading all of it. PSA, you are not reading all of the Bible.
Well, I guess they're upfront
No.
about it.
Yeah, I
Got it.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
Well, anyways, next week is actually the penultimate, not the penultimate, but the penultimate episode of Acts.
Yes.
And then the week after, I need to study hard because I feel like we've had a lot of breaks in between this book.
Mhm,
We have, yeah.
And therefore, and I really don't want to like suck in front of this teacher.
Emily,
I like to do things well.
Emily, I've already
So-
sent this professor our podcast. He already knows the ways in which we suck
He
and
already
do not
knows that I
suck.
suck.
He already
Got
knows.
it. Okay. He's not going to be surprised by that.
He knows that we're not always wrong. That's what he
Everyone
knows.
should know.
But
that.
we're often not right also. So I don't know. I hope that he throws us some like kind,
Some softballs.
some softballs,
Sure.
some kind questions.
We'll see.
because-
I'm hoping we can also ask him
because-
about Paul's letters, about the epistles. I do think that'll be
The
interesting to help
epistles?
give us. Yeah, that's what they're called.
Really?
Emily's always going to bring the sixth grade humor.
Yeah, I love it.
If you need a
Do
sixth
you wanna
grade
try-
joke, Emily's good for it.
Do you want to try spelling epistles?
No, wait. Let me.
It's
like,
not.
write
It's
it.
got more letters than you think.
Uh,
Emily, you're looking it up. That is not a
No,
spelling bee. You
not.
can't-
Cheating.
Or you're just typing it out to see
no,
it.
I'm just typing it. No,
Okay,
I
okay.
wrote it and then it changed it to apostles.
Yeah.
Epistles. No, that's not it. No, and it's still okay. I was going to say APISTLES, but that's not
Close.
You were
it. What is it?
Very
almost-
close.
Really?
It starts with an E. It's epistles, but otherwise you got it.
Oh, epistles. Good job. Good job, me.
Okay, kids.
Okay, everyone.
Okay, let's do this.
All righty. Thank you all for joining us for Bible study today. If you want to join the audience in our live stream shows, follow us on Twitch at Drunk Bible Study or go to drunkbiblestudy.com/live. If you want even more Drunk Bible Study, including early releases, cocktail recipes, personal toasts on the show, and more, become one of our patrons at patreon.com/Drunk Bible Study. If you enjoyed the show, take a moment to subscribe and write us a nice review on iTunes, letting other people know what you like about it. You can also join fellow listeners in the Drunk Bible Study Fans and Fellowship Facebook group or on our Discord server at discord.drunkbiblestudy.com. Drunk Bible Study is created and produced by Jace Lindgren, Dedeker Winston, and me, Emily Matlack. Our theme song is Book Club by Josh and Anand from their album Home of the. For more information, visit us at drunkbiblestudy.com.
I made a memory about your dad. He's in a book club. Whoa. He's got a history of skimming past all the pages of ageless confessional shit.